Well, good afternoon people, welcome back to the channel and another video. And we're on a little trip, in case this doesn't kind of give that away. We are in Edinburgh in Scotland. First time both of us have been to, either of us have been to Scotland. And I couldn't think of a better place for the first visit to be than Edinburgh. It's somewhere we wanted to come for a while. And this is like our kind of second afternoon here, second day. And we're here for a few days and pretty epic city so far. I mean, look how cool that background is. Pretty epic, and that's why we're up here taking some photos. Have the Fuji X-T3 with the 35mm f2, and Christina's filming on the X-T30 with our good old 18 to 55mm, and just got me a few days of exploring the city, and this was Christina's birthday present. So not really a photography trip, but as you know, when we go on trips, there kind of always is going to be some photography. So yeah, just going to wander around, have some coffee, drink some cold ones, eat some food, take some photos. Not as nice a light today as there was yesterday, but we still have a few days, so I'm hoping for that. And it would also be nice if we got a little skim of snow, maybe the last day before we go. It's absolutely freezing, hence the gloves. But yeah, let's go take some photos and explore.
So I just wanted to jump in here to give some context. In case you didn't know, Edinburgh in winter is damn cold. I mean, it's nothing too crazy. It was like -2 or 3 for a few days, but really cold. On this day in particular, it did start to rain, and we had walked around for a while. Started to rain, got a little bit miserable in terms of weather. So we thought the best way to spend the rest of the evening would be to nip into a few bars and have a few cold ones, which was pretty damn nice. Quite a few cozy bars around Edinburgh. If you haven't been, I would highly recommend it. It might be one of the best places for just going around little cozy spots and having cold ones. So that's how we spent the rest of that evening. But anyway, the next day, after a nice breakfast in a cute little cafe, we made our way back to the viewpoint that became a bit of a consistent theme on this trip. I was determined to try and get a nice photo with the best conditions in this spot, and well, we'll come back to this at the end. As you can see from these photos, the light this time was much nicer than the first day, which was a little bit gloomy to be fair, but yeah, like how these ones turned out. I mean, just look at these buildings. It really is such a unique, epic city, and the sunset just added to it even more. The colour of the buildings and the nice sky just mixes so nicely. It's kind of like the perfect color scheme that I'm looking for when I'm going out to take photos in golden art. Another somewhat consistent theme in this video was the upward photos, or whatever you want to call them. Those photos that look up at the rooftops or the chimneys with the sky in the background. And the reason for that was, first of all, I do like those minimal shots like these ones, but secondly, it was because I found it difficult to find frames where I was happy with everything in the frame, so nothing distracting or just something like a new car kind of killing the vibe of this old city. I mean, ideally I would have liked all old buildings in the frame, maybe an old car, something vintage, no new stuff that kind of makes it feel a little bit more modern. That would have been ideal, but obviously that's tough, and when taking these photos I was inclined to maybe look up so I could essentially cut out everything that was on the street. I also don't like having lots of people in the frame ideally, so again I was able to cut that out by looking up. And by looking up and taking these photos I was able to just only photograph the old buildings. All you could see in my frame was the old rooftops of the chimneys and stuff like that. So I was able to get my frame that is kind of just like it was when they were built, if that makes sense to you. I was able to keep everything old in the scene and have nothing new because I was cutting out all of the street below. It isn't something I planned to do. It was just, like I said, when I was walking around, I found it hard to find the perfect frame and not have something in it that I didn't want there, or just the angle of things. Yeah, a little bit tricky. Like I said a minute ago with the looking up shots, here's another one, and I actually really like this one. How many chimneys are there? I'll let you count that. Drop it in the comments below. I just thought the framing of this one with all the chimneys was pretty cool. So yeah, I like how this one turned out. And that is pretty much it for a few days in Edinburgh. I think we walked around the next day before we went home for a while, and we don't really have too many clips of it, but I did get a few more photos, quite a few of them that I actually really like. And yeah, just a really, really cool city, and I think we'll have to make a point to go back there. I honestly didn't think I got that many nice photos at the time. I was struggling a bit with the framing and stuff, like I said. But looking back at them now after a quick edit and stuff, there is quite a few of them that I do really like. But I did feel like I was struggling a little bit with the 35mm this time. I know I've said in previous videos that it pretty much always is the focal length that I think works really well for most of the scenes I'm photographing. And it has been generally, and I do still really like it. It's a great lens, but I did struggle a little bit this time. I did find myself wanting something a little bit wider at times, and I definitely grabbed the X-T30 with the 18-55mm off Christina a little bit more than I've noticed myself doing before, which makes me think maybe something like a 27mm might be nice to have in the bag so I can swap between them on the X-T3 when I'm taking photos, or maybe that zoom lens that I talked about in previous videos. But the 18-55mm definitely did come in clutch a few times for some of those shots. So yeah, glad I had that option. On the last day, just before we headed to the airport, it was just before sunset, I actually headed out again to that viewpoint and I took a few more shots, and I think this just goes to show if you find a spot where you think there's a good photo but maybe the lighting isn't great, make sure you go back a few times and see what you can get, because as you can see with these photos, again the light is different than it was the first 2 times I photographed this same scene. Here's a bit of a side-by-side of the 3 different photos of pretty much the same scene at 3 different times. And as you can see at the 3 different times, the lighting and just the overall feel and colour of the photos are just different. I'm not actually sure which one I like most. The first day obviously being gloomy was just a little bit boring, and it just goes to show when you get those days and there isn't contrast and stuff, it can be hard to make a photo interesting. It can be hard to give the viewer like a focal point when nothing's really lit and everything's just flat. I think maybe the second day, which was more in the middle of the day, it was probably like 12 or maybe 1 p.m. But because it's winter, the light's kind of nice all day, or somewhat nice. There was one I got where the light was reflecting off the window of the castle. I really like it. And the last shots just had that really soft sunset glow, which is also nice. So I'm not sure there. Let me know which one of those you like best. When it comes to favourite photos from this trip, I actually didn't think I would have had too many, but there's actually quite a few I ended up liking quite a bit. The one that I knew at the time was going to be a good photo, or at least for me a good photo, was this one. I just waited there a little bit longer than I probably did at other spots, just because I knew that there was something there. There's probably more people in it than I would want, but I think for this scene it probably doesn't really make much of a difference actually. We have all the taxi cabs, which I wasn't really concentrated on, to be fair, but I do like the 2 lamps, like I've said in previous videos. There's just something about them and how you can use them to frame a scene that I really like. And then we have just the crazy tower building in the middle. I can't remember the name of it, but I mean it's super gothic and kind of just looks like something straight out of Harry Potter, which is another theme when you're in Edinburgh. The whole place just kind of looks and feels like you're in a Harry Potter movie at times. But I also was waiting quite a while to try and get the birds in the perfect spot, and they done a little swoop around, went behind the tower and flew around to the left, and yeah, I should have probably paid them for that gig, but yeah, I really like having the birds in shots like this, especially when you have big open skies like this one. So yeah, I really like the composition of this one. Probably composition wise, this is probably the one where I was able to move around and get things where I wanted. It was probably the most fun to sort of compose, I think. So this would definitely be one of them. I do also like this one with the bikes and the little bus sign on the left, and the street sign as well on the fence there, and the nicely lit buildings obviously in the background. It's a shame the bridge in this one was covered with this big white sheet. I think they were doing work on it, but there's definitely potential in this shot, and I do like it as is. This one is another one that I really like. Just a nice blue sky. Again, I was able to get some birds in it, and we have just a bit of life about the streets, which in these type of scenarios I don't mind. A nice photo, really nice lighting, all the lighting shining off the windows and stuff is something that I always notice in photos like this, and I just really like it. Again, the one of the chimneys, another photo, like I said, just something a little bit different, and yeah, I just kind of find it a little bit crazy, and also really cool just how many chimneys are actually in this photo. But yeah, it turned out to be a lot more successful than I thought at the time. Like I said, I was struggling, just didn't think I got as many photos as I did, but when I was able to come home, edit them, and just look at them again, I think I done okay. I would like to go back though and try again, but yeah, fun trip, really cool city. I'd highly recommend it for both photography, coffee shops, cold ones in cozy little spots, and if you're a Harry Potter fan, obviously. By the way, all the photos in this video were edited with our preset pack, the Explorer pack, which I'll link below if you want to grab it. There is currently a sale on, I believe it's 30% off. If you want to grab it within the next week or so. That would be much appreciated. It goes a long way to help supporting us and the channel and what we do. But anyway, I'll not blabber on anymore. Hopefully you enjoyed this one. It was nice to have a trip. We haven't had a little trip in a while, so it was nice to get away and we had a good time. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, maybe give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing if you want to see more. And as we always say, take it easy. Don't be a stranger.